In this Flex video, we're going to show you the basics of setting up a probe routines. So let's get started. First thing we'll do, go over the documents, go down to probing. Now, Q push button named probing enable push button is found. It will be set up as your main probe control. So when you're in probing, some functions don't work, like spindle. You can't run a program. Anything that could cause a problem is disabled. So it's a pretty safe control. Add our push button. Put a layout in there. Select it. Set the object name. Select that home page so it comes up when we start up. And you see it's enabled. It doesn't do anything because it requires at least one object that starts with probe underscore to be enabled and function. So we'll go in here and get our group box, change the name, probe functions. We'll add some push buttons in here. Now, if you want to put images on those push buttons, look in the resources section of the documents on how to do that. So we'll change the name, probe underscore, whatever you want. I'm going to call it X underscore plus. Save it. Now we run our configuration. You can see the buttons and the enable button are both disabled. Has to be homed. Watch the run start from line and step or disable when I enable probing. That's for safety. And our push button is enabled. Alright. Let's get fancy. If you press Control Shift U and then enter one of these codes, it'll insert an arrow in Linux. So this is going to be X space. We'll press the Control Shift and U. Should have moved the mouse so you could see. Then you got to press Enter. You can see I got that cute little arrow. So this one's going to be 2190. Oops. Press Control Shift U. Let go of it. You get that little underscore U. You press. Then you type in the code 2190 and then press Enter. Okay. And next one we want is 2191. Press Enter. And the last one we want is 2193. Press Enter. There's our fancy little arrows. Alright. Let's set these up. Probe underscore turns them into a probing control. It's controlled by the enable probing button. And probe. Gotta spell it right or it won't work. Yeah. It's just that easy to set up. Should have called this easy GUI, huh? Alright, let's run it. Now we can see everything's disabled. E-stop, open, power on, home all. Now our enable probing is there. Those are all enabled. So that works. So next, go down here. We need some settings that we can set from the GUI and that's used in the G code file or the subroutine file. So you can use 31 through 5000 as your variables. You just got to add a couple dynamic properties to a Q double spin box. So we'll start out with our little root box. Probe settings. We'll drag a label in there so we know what it is. Double spin box. It's going to be our search speed. Lay this out in the grid. We'll set a couple of things, default things here on the spin box because we don't want it to go too fast. We just need a single digit, and we want to limit it to 10. We don't want it going too fast, so we can have a safe thing there. Now we'll add our function to it. Make sure we got it selected. And the function is get underscore var. Then our variable is another dynamic property. It's going to be 2000. Now we got an error. Variable 2000 was not found in the variables file parameters.var. So it's not going to be set up as a probing parameter. Doesn't do anything. So we got to go over and open our parameters.var file, or whatever yours is named. It can be named anything. Add 2000. That's a tab key now, not a space. You have to keep the file consistent. We'll save that. We'll run our configuration. Good. We see it's turn the power on. Go back home everything. Go to probe. So now that we can change that setting. Now if we name that double spin box probe underscore, then we wouldn't be able to, but you can see it changed the VAR file when I changed it. So now when I reload, it reloads it. Every time you close Linux CNC, it updates the VAR file. Also the way I add to update it, it makes it update. So this is a little subroutine, px plus. Notice that the O left bracket or whatever, px plus, that's got to match the name of the file, which is px plus. And then you see the F2000. And you see it's running at 2 inches a minute, which is what we got our probe speed set for, and 2000. And we don't have probing enabled, but back to our parameter file, you can see it changed to 5. So now I'll hit file run. That's because we don't have probing enabled. If we had probing enabled, you wouldn't be able to do that. Let's go back to Y0, X0. Alright, we're back there. We'll run that MDI call. You see it's running at velocity of 5 now. So that's how you get values from the GUI into the G code. So for your probe settings, or anything actually. So now we need to set up one of those buttons. There's an MDI button. In order to do that, we've got to add a couple of dynamic properties. So we'll scroll down a little bit here. The first property we want to add is function. And we'll go to probe. We'll do X plus. Add that function. And the function is MDI. And then we got to add the command, which is the MDI command that we wanted to execute. Make sure we got it selected before we hit the button. And it's going to be, there's our MDI command, px plus call. Now we can save that. Enable our probing. Got a search speed set at 5. Hit the button, we go look, and it's executing that subroutine. And that's how you just get a probe subroutine to run. And it's just that simple. So enjoy. This is an example GUI. It's included with Flex. You can see it's a pretty cool looking example. It's got probes, it's got settings, plotter options. Back to our probe screen.